Okay. Child, we're here on an adversary hearing. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram is with us representing the child. Mr. Hill is with us representing the mother, Ms. Castro, who is with us, and the father, Mr. Dockery, is with us. All right, everyone seems to be with us and connected to the audio. Ms. Wiggins, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. I'll call Annalise Kendall. Can you tell me the allegations of the intake?
Yes, we received a report of concerns that Mother Evangeline was using methamphetamines around Miley and her grandchild, Amelia.
And was that around February 2nd of 2023 when you got that report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what did you do first for your investigation?
First, I went to Evangeline's adult son, Isaiah, the father of Amelia, to see Amelia and talk with them. When I arrived, that's when Evangeline showed up and kind of talked with her and figured out where Miley was as well.
Okay. And did you figure out where Miley was at that time?
Yes, she was residing with paternal grandparents.
Now, at that point in time, did you investigate or ask Miss Castro to drug screen for the department?
I did.
And did she comply with that?
She did not.
And based on that, what did the department decide to do in regards to helping the family out with services?
Originally, it was all supervised contact with Evangeline until she did complete the drug screen. And then after she did drug screen, that's when we moved forward with family-based safety services.
Okay. And when did she drug screen for the department?
She completed 2 UAs and 1 hair. She completed the UA on February 9th, or the hair on February 9th, apologies. And she tested positive for methamphetamine.
Objection, Your Honor. That is inadmissible testimony. There's been no proper foundation laid for that. I would ask that the court strike that portion of her testimony regarding what the result of that drug test was.
I'll sustain it based on hearsay. So,
okay. So without just telling us what the results are, just tell us when she completed the test. Okay.
She completed the hair follicle on February 9th.
Okay. And did she complete UA drug screens for the department in February as well?
She did.
And based on those results, did the department feel like they could get out of the case at that time?
No.
And did the department continue with proceeding to family-based safety services?
We did.
And did that start in March?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have any additional conversations with Ms. Castro about any of the drug screen results?
I spoke to her about all of the drug screen results.
And what did she say about the results?
When I spoke with her about the results, she stated that she was around people that was using, and that is why she tested positive.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
all right, Mr. Hill.
No questions of this witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dockery, do you have any questions for Ms. Kendall? You're muted.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right, anything further of this witness, Ms. Wiggins?
No, Your Honor. I ask that be excused. Thank you.
All right, any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Kendall, thank you for your testimony. I'll remove you so you can go about your day's business.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Wiggins, next witness.
I would call Amanda Jones. Thank you, Judge. Ms. Jones, and so what did you first do when you got the case?
I arranged with Investigator Kendall to complete a family strengths and needs assessment and joint visit with the family.
Okay, and did y'all do that visit?
We did.
And did y'all do that visit on March 13th of 2023?
Yes.
And did you talk to Ms. Castro about her history of mental health history?
I did.
And what did she say about that?
She reported a history with PTSD, and she don't want to discuss her family information any further. She also reported OCD and general anxiety disorder.
Okay, did she report whether or not she was receiving any treatment for those?
She reported that she was speaking to some doctors through a doctor on demand program, but those visits were every 3 months or so, or as needed, she said, so they weren't consistent.
Okay. And did you talk to her about her last use of drugs?
I did.
And what did she say her last use of methamphetamine was?
She reported that she used in January 2023, that she was being evicted and she needed to stay up and pack. And so she purposefully used methamphetamine in order to stay awake.
Okay. And at that time, did you talk to the child, Miley?
I talked with her, but it wasn't at that visit. Miley was staying with her brother at that point, and so I went and saw her with her brother.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about that visit?
Miley reported she was ready to go back with her mom. She was knew about her mother's drug use, as her mom had talked with her about it and reported it to her as well. But she felt safe in returning to her mother's care at that point.
Okay. And at that point in time, did you create a family plan of service for Ms. Castro?
I did.
And what were the services that the department was asking Ms. Castro to complete?
We requested that she maintain safe and stable housing for Miley, to stay in contact with the department, to complete individual counseling. She reported she was already doing that with her providers. So we stated she could continue with her providers, or we could provide her with counseling paid for by the department, as well as the Padre program for substance abuse and parenting.
Okay.
And counseling for Miley. I'm sorry.
Oh, and counseling for Miley?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in regards to those services and the family-based safety service case, was that an attempt to eliminate the department's removal of the child?
Yes.
And based on that safety or that service plan, did you feel like those services would help in eliminating the reasons for why the department was involved?
Yes, the services were an attempt to mitigate the reasons for involvement, including the drug concerns and addressing her mental health and stability.
Okay. And you talked a little bit about stability. Did Ms. Castro talk to you about her history of where she was residing?
A little bit. She had reported staying at the motel prior to the family-based case starting. And in the investigation, she also reported that she had been looking for that place and had finally gotten into that place after attempts to find additional places.
Okay. And at that point in time, did the department feel like the mother was taking the service seriously and that the child would be safe to return home at that point in time?
Yes.
Did we have some monitoring put in place for the child?
We were there, and then there were family members who moved in and out of the home during the case, and so I spoke with them about occasionally as well.
Okay. And did you also talk to Miley about her feelings on the subject?
Yes, I addressed safety with Miley each time I spoke with her.
Okay. Now, when you're going through the safety base, I guess tell me how the mother made progress through July of 2023.
Through July, she was able to maintain housing. There were some concerns with work towards the end of that point and being able to maintain the housing. But up until about July and school starting, she was maintaining housing. Did you ask just about housing or about everything involved?
Just about everything without telling me results of any tests.
Okay. We asked her to drug test multiple times. She tested in May once and she tested in June once, but in the other times I've asked her to test, she has not gone. We attempted the Padre program. She was uncomfortable with groups. And so we talked about counseling. In May, she told me she no longer had Medicaid. So I offered counseling through the department, paying for the counseling. And she stated she did not want to start with any new providers. We also provided her in-home resources, including packets, relapse plan prevention, and in-home resources like that. And those were never completed.
Now, in July of 2023, did you have some new or re-emerging concerns for the safety of the child in the home?
Yes.
And in regards to those concerns, did you address those concerns with the mother?
Yes.
And what was her response to those concerns?
I went over with a coworker of mine who was involved with another family that was living in the home with Evangeline or with Ms. Castro and with Miley. And we put in a safety plan regarding that small child. At that point, Ms. Castro denied any use and she told us to leave.
And at that point in time, would you say that she was not working her services and not doing what the department needed her to do to maintain safety for the child?
Correct.
And where did the child end up going to reside at that point?
The small child or Miley?
Miley, I'm sorry.
Okay. Miley was still residing in that home. I had difficulty contacting them after that point. And in August, after multiple attempts to the home and concerns that they were no longer living there, I spoke with Miley at school, and Miley told me that they had been evicted, and she was now residing with a friend of hers.
Okay. And were you able to go to that friend's house or confirm that the friend's location was safe for Miley at that point?
Based on what Miley told me, it was safe. We did talk about me coming to the home, but the visit that I planned with Miley and that family member, that family was not able to occur because at that point in October, Ms. Castro called me and said that she had Miley at that point and wasn't going to return her on time for that visit. And then the removal happened the next day.
Okay. And so let's back up a little bit. Through the course of August and September, was Miley in the placement with her friend?
Yes.
And at that point in time, did you feel that that placement was stable for her and away from any drugs or danger?
Yes. Miley reported she was safe there. She had known that family for years and had stayed there multiple times when her mother was unstable. And so she felt safe there. And when I met with her at school, she was always positive about that placement until the very end.
Okay. And in regards to the mother during August and September, what was your contact like with her?
I attempted to call her and text message her multiple times. There was a few times then she did respond by text message, and I tried to set up visits. There was one visit we did over Google Duo, a virtual visit because she said she was in Corpus Christi. Another time we set up a visit in September, and she didn't respond to me when I asked where and when, and she didn't respond to me the day of the visit. And so I had limited contact with her for those few months.
Okay. And did she drug screen for the department?
She did not.
Did she tell you at all about her location or if she had any stable housing?
She just told me she was living with friends. At one point, she gave me the name Ava, but she didn't give me any addresses. I attempted a visit to the last known address for her on and off again boyfriend, but was told by the people living there she was not residing there. Miley talked to me about where she thought mom was living, but I was never able to find Evangeline or Miss Castro. And then when I spoke with her after the removal, she had told me she had lived in her vehicle. She had lived in the back of people's homes. She had lived with that on and off again boyfriend, various places. So she wasn't being honest during that point.
Okay. And at that point in time, did she complete any services for the department?
She did not.
So in October, at that point in time, did Miley indicate that she did not feel safe in her current placement with the family?
Correct.
And at that point in time, did we have then concerns where Miley was going to have some secure, stable placement?
Correct.
And did we still have concerns given the fact that Miss Castro did not address any of the reasons for the original removal, that she would still not be a safe place for Miley to return home to?
Correct.
And did you have a conversation with Miley about where she would like to reside or if she felt safe with her mother at that point?
I did.
And what did she indicate?
Miley reported she no longer felt safe in her mother's care after the incident on October 12th and 13th. She reported concerns about her mom's substance abuse and memories of the way she was treated when her mom had used in the past and no longer felt safe in her care or placed with people that her mother had access to. And then she reported she wanted to stay with her brother, but her mom was not going to allow that.
At that point in time, did the department decide that that we needed to remove the child so she wouldn't be in any imminent danger?
Yes.
And was that due to the fact that the mother was still not providing a safe placement, not allowing an agreement for a safe placement, and had threatened to pick up the child and remove her from any situation?
Yes.
Now, at any point in time when you had contact with her in October, did she drug screen for the department?
No.
In the ex parte hearing that we had in this court, the judge ordered the mother to hair strand and you a drug screen for the court in this case. Did the mother complete that?
No.
Now, in regards to the father, when did you have contact with the father of the child?
I had contact with the father, Jason Dockery, on October 16th.
Okay. And did he indicate his current living situation?
Yes.
And what did he state about that?
He stated that he and his fiance were currently living in Airbnbs.
And did he talk about any recent drug use?
He did.
And what did he indicate to you?
He reported he uses marijuana weekly.
Now, he was also ordered by the court to drug screen. Did he complete his drug screens?
He did.
Okay. And were they consistent with what he had stated would be on those drug screens, the marijuana?
Not completely.
Okay. And do we have now additional concerns based off the hair follicle drug screen that we have?
Yes.
Okay. And have you spoken with him about those results?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And what did he indicate about those?
He indicated he was aware the marijuana would come back. He reported he was using a little bit more than weekly when he was tested due to stress of the situation. I asked him about the other substance that was on the drug test, and he denied he had any recent use of that. Stated his last methamphetamine use was 8 years ago. He didn't know why he would come back positive for methamphetamine.
All right. And based on that drug screen result, do you believe that it would be a safe environment for the child to be residing with the father at this time?
Not at this time.
And given what is your understanding between the relationship between the child and her father?
Based on what both of them have told me, they last had face-to-face contact early this year. In January is, I think, where they landed. They've had some contact over phone or text message or social media since then, but it has not been consistent. They did have a visit after the removal, and that visit went well.
All right. Do you believe it would be a continuing danger for the child if she is placed in the home of the mother or the father at this time?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Judge. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Where's the child currently placed?
She's placed in an emergency shelter here in Amarillo.
And how's she doing that placement?
She's doing okay. It's hard to be at a shelter at her age, but she's enrolled in school. They are working on getting all her medical appointments set up, counseling set up, and so she's making the best of it.
Okay. And you mentioned counseling. Was she put in counseling by her mother during the family-based safety services case?
No, her mother reported, and Miley reported, that she had seen Leanne with fever in the past and she was comfortable going back there. But Ms. Castro never engaged her in counseling. At the end of our case, since she was old enough, I had planned to give her Medicaid information so that her friend's family could enroll her in the counseling, but then the removal happened, and so we weren't able to do that.
All right, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Ms. Jones, would it be contrary to Miley's welfare to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
And you mentioned a brother that she had stayed with at one point. You mentioned the name Isaiah. Is that the brother that she did stay with for some time?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know, is he a possible placement? Or you may not know.
I wouldn't say he is right now. His living situation is fluid as well. Based on my conversations with the father, Isaiah is considering moving in with Mr. Dockery and his fiance, but with the concerns of that household, we wouldn't say he's an option at this point. In the place where I know he was living prior, he was living with his boss, and Isaiah Castro reported that man having some criminal history that would possibly be a barrier. And so I don't know enough to say that would be an option at this point.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Mr. Dockery, do you have questions for Ms. Jones? You're muted.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Dockery, if you would please remove your cap. Thank you, sir. All right. Mr. Hill, questions?
No, Judge, no questions.
All right. Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right. Ms. Wiggins, anything further from Ms. Jones?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Any other witnesses?
I would just briefly
Judge,
call Miley. Can I call you Miley? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Miley, how are you doing in your current placement?
I'm good.
Okay. Are you feel like that they're taking care of all of your needs that you have at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you feel safe and comfortable there?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in regards to what you've heard, did you heard a lot about what you said to the workers? Are those statements correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you still have some concerns right now about going back with your mother?
No, Your Honor. No, ma'am. Sorry.
That's okay. So you don't have any concerns right now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You understand that she hasn't addressed some of the issues that we have previously talked about. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you understand that we have to focus on that sometimes over maybe what you might be comfortable with?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And are you comfortable with staying in that placement if that's something that the judge orders?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Hill,
No questions.
Mr. Dockery, do you have questions for your daughter?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ingram.
Molly, I just want to make sure you understand the question that Ms. Wiggins asked you. When she asked you if you had concerns, what she was asking you was if you would feel safe going back to your mother. Would you feel safe going back to your mother today?
Maybe not today, but in the future.
Okay, good. You had talked to us about you thought you might need to be put on some medication to help you with depression. Have you seen a doctor about that yet?
Not yet.
Do you know if an appointment has been scheduled yet?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll be sure and follow up on that. Anything else you want to tell the judge?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Miley, are you on any kind of medications now?
No, sir.
Okay. And have you been set up with a counselor again yet?
Not yet.
And I heard mention that you had seen Leanne Lefebvre in the past. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you think counseling would be good for you at this point?
Possibly, but possibly not.
Okay. Were you comfortable with Miss Lefebvre?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that because Miss Lefebvre is very good at what she does. So, all right, then. Does anybody else have any questions for Miley?
No, Your Honor.
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
Judge, if I may,
Uh-huh.
just for the court's information, Miley's at High Plains Children's Home Shelter, and they have counselors that come out to the children's home to do counseling. So that's what she'll be set up in unless you specifically order them to take her to Leanne Lefebvre.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They may have counselors come in, but that doesn't mean that I'm bound by their counselors. So, okay. All right. Ms. Wiggins, do you have any other witnesses?
I do not, Judge. Your rest.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hill, any witnesses?
Yes, sir. I wish to call Evangeline Castro.
Okay. Ms. Castro, if you'd unmute, ma'am, raise your right hand. You swear that you're muted again. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? We can't hear you.
I do.
All right, you're going to have to speak up. Mr. Hill?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Castro, good morning. Your video was on earlier. Do you have the ability to turn your video back on?
I'm not certain exactly how to do that. It's switching me through several screens.
Let's not.
There you are. You're back. Okay, great. Thank you. So you've been here this entire hearing. You heard the two CPS workers testify, and you heard Miley testify. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Let me walk you back to the beginning, I guess, back in February of this year, of when this all started, when you were contacted by Ms. Kendall first, and then later in March by Ms. Jones. What's your recollection of the interaction that you had when this case first started back in February with your interactions with Ms. Kendall?
When I first met Ms. Kendall, it was at my son Isaiah's apartment, where I was going to be residing after we left the hotel with Miley and the baby, a son, and his girlfriend. I had walked in after us leaving the hotel, which we had a pretty rough morning that morning, just unrelated to some items and things that are going on. And I had got there, walked in, and the caseworkers were there, and they were visiting with my son and his girlfriend.
Now, let me interrupt you briefly. So the caseworkers, just to give the judge some context, there was apparently a CPS case or a CPS investigation going on with your son and his child at that time as well. Is that accurate?
I believe so. I just kind of walked into this room and they were there, and I kind of didn't know exactly what was going on until Miss Kendall spoke to me.
Okay, so go ahead then.
When I walked in, they had made the comment, Isaiah and his girlfriend had made the comment, "Oh, here, this is his mother right now." And then Miss Kendall spoke to me and she told me who she was and where she was from, what she was doing there. And then she told me about the allegations that were in place. And as soon as I heard what allegations were there, I was pretty upset and kind of surprised, because the allegations were stating that there were concerns of me using drugs while in care of the children in recent weeks.
And the
And
children, hang on, the children would be Miley and then your grandchild, your son's child, correct?
yes, Amelia.
I'm sorry,
Yes, Amelia.
Amelia's the grandchild.
Yes.
She's Isaiah's daughter.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And I kind of talked to them, and I had asked her, I was like, okay, how recent are we talking? And she was like, within the past few weeks. And then I let her know that I was not in care of any children within the past few weeks, because my daughter had been residing with her grandmother, and now she was there with her brother, for reasons that happened when we first got to the hotel. Miley was texting with an older
There's an
person.
objective narrative at this point. I think she's
Just
gone.
Just saying, ma'am, just answer the question that you're asked.
Oh, okay. So you were indicating that you hadn't used while you were in the presence of any children or caring for any children. Are you alluding to the fact that you used some methamphetamine in January when you had to move?
No.
No. Okay. Well, what were you specifically meaning that with respect to the children and you hadn't used when you were in the care of any children?
Well, they were specifically talking about a specific time frame, and that would have been like 2 to 3 weeks before this move. And during that time, I was in the hotel. I had not used or anything like that. We had already been in the hotel for about 3 weeks.
Okay. Now the caseworker did indicate that that you had told her that you had used, I believe, in January when you were moving. Is that correct? Did you say that to her or not?
I did state that to her that I did in
Okay.
January, around the 17th of January, when we were moving.
Okay. So that would be just a couple of weeks prior to, maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to a February interaction with CPS. Then would that be correct?
Yes, it would be. And
Okay.
I did let her know about that and was honest about that. I didn't deny it or anything. I came forward with that information.
Okay. And you have had some on and off struggle with methamphetamine during your life. Is that right?
I am a recovering addict, yes.
Okay. And how long had you been clean before this January use?
It had been about a year and a half or so, since August of 2020.
Okay. And have you used since the January incident?
No.
Now the CPS people testified about some concerns they had with respect to possible drug use after January, between January and now. Well, strike that question. So anyway, you're at the motel. You were talking to the CPS people. Go ahead then with respect to what your housing situation turned into after you left the motel.
After we left the motel, we were going to stay with family. It was either going to be paternal grandparents.
Well, let me just stop you. Don't give us choices. Where did you go?
After I actually didn't go anywhere specifically except for my vehicle, because both options that I had were eliminated by this case.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the 2 places that I was going to go was either my son's house or the grandparents, and those were either the 2 places that I had choice of. And my daughter was at the grandparents, so I could not go there per the restrictions and stuff that they had put on me. And then, of course, I couldn't be with my son either because of the restrictions they had put on me as well.
Okay, and that's the family-based safety services that you had agreed to work with, right? Okay, so that forced you into your car. How long did you live in your car?
About a month or so, month and a half.
Okay, where did you go from there?
From there, we went to a family, a step family home in Canyon, an apartment. And that's where I resided there for a good month and a half or so, while we waited on an apartment big enough for both of us.
You're muted again, ma'am.
It was being renovated, and the renovations were taking longer than we expected. So in that time frame, I was still looking for other places and other options, which is where I found the address that we were living at. We resided there from March. We went and got in there on March 10th, and we're residing from there on residence until August.
All right, Ms. Castro, let me interrupt you. You keep saying we. We were moving here. Who is we? You and who else?
Well, it was me by myself. I always use we, I apologize, but it was me by myself in the apartment waiting for the renovations to be done. And then it was, like I said, it was me by myself and my car.
Okay, that's
And-
good. So when you say we, you meant you.
Yes, I apologize.
Okay, all right. Sorry, Mr. Hill, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Oh, okay. So after the motel, you were in your car a month and a half. Then you went to a friend in Canyon for about the same period of time. Did you say month and a half?
About a month.
Month. Okay, and then to 8300, and that was about March 10th, you said.
Yes.
And you stayed there continuously then through now?
Until August.
Until August, okay. And then where did you go in August?
In August, I was briefly in my vehicle for about a week. And then I went from there to my friend's house, Shauna and Daniel.
Okay, and is that in Amarillo Canyon? Where is that?
It's in Amarillo.
Okay, and are you still there, or how long did you stay at the friend's house?
Yes, I'm still residing there.
And who all lives in that residence?
It's just Daniel and Shauna, and then me. I reside in the back in a travel trailer.
So let's see, if we're end of October now, mid-August was when you moved in there, is that right?
Yes.
So that's what, August, September, October, so two and a half months you've been there?
Yes.
Okay, and are you planning to stay there, or?
No, I'm not planning to stay there. I still am planning to locate a residence of my own in the Canyon ISD school district, because that's where my daughter wants to reside and go to school. She likes the school there. But I am waiting on my disability determinations to find out if and how much I'll be able to use to be able to get into a new place.
Okay, what kind of disability are you waiting on?
They're doing disability for glaucoma and me losing vision because I have lost peripheral visions, as well as my knees, just some physical conditions that I have from, being being in sports and stuff, and my mental health, which is the PTSD diagnosis.
Okay, and when you say waiting on disability, what steps have you taken to get on this disability, and how long have you been pursuing this disability?
I've been pursuing this for about 2 years now. Since around June of 2020 is when we submitted my first application. And then we resubmitted an application in February again because there was errors on the first application. And I say we, I mean me and the National Disability Group who was assisting me. And then now we're just waiting on my examinations, which they wanted me to do to make sure that everything was current and up to date. I've already completed my eye examination and my visual fields examination that they wanted to do. I've also completed my physical examination that they wanted me to do. And the only thing I'm waiting on is my mental health examination, my mental health status examination, which I tried to go to yesterday. However, I was 10 minutes late due to not having a vehicle and having to get a ride. And they went ahead and rescheduled.
Okay, so do you have the ability to move out of this travel trailer if your disability does not come through?
Yes, I do. I have been doing, odd jobs and side jobs that I can have a controlled work environment in and making money and saving.
Okay, so if the judge decides to return Miley to you today, you would be living in the travel trailer with her?
Yes. Yes, that's where I would be living. There is one more option that Miley is familiar with, since she's not very familiar with Shauna and Daniel. And I didn't want her to be uncomfortable, and that is with Ivana. I know the lady said earlier, the CPS worker said Ava, but it's Ivana. And this is where the other option would be for me and Miley to go. And here we would have our own bedroom, and there's no children there or anything like that, just some pets. It's an older couple.
Okay, you say we would have our own bedroom. The two of you would have your bedroom together, or there'd be a separate bedroom, one for you and one for her?
It would be together. It would be a together bedroom.
Okay. The travel trailer, does it have utility hookups? In other words, does it have electricity hooked up to it, plugged in?
Yes.
Does it have water hooked up to it? And does it have sewage hooked up to it?
Yes.
And approximately how big is this travel trailer?
I'm not exactly sure how big it is. It does have a queen size bed room area in the back, a small kitchenette area, a table that turns into the bedding. So that's what we were like the to bed where Miley would reside, and a bathroom with shower.
And again, all the utilities in the trailer work, the kitchen works, the shower works, the bathroom works, all that.
Yes.
Okay, so describe what I know you touched on it briefly, doing odd jobs, etc. You have to support yourself. How do you support yourself?
Well, I had been doing bond running for some bail bonds companies that I used to work for previously. So if the guys that worked at the bail bonds company, the employees, if they were too, tired or they were a little sleep deprived and couldn't make it out to the jail to take a bond or, pick somebody up or something, I would do that. Cleaning houses with an ex-coworker of mine who opened up her own business. I do that about 3 or 4 times a week, cleaning each home. And then door dashing while I had my vehicle.
Approximately how much do you make per week or per month? And I realize it would, some months may be better than others, or weeks may be better than others. But if you averaged it, about how much do you make a week or a month?
About 150 a week or so.
Okay. And do you believe that $150 a week is enough to support you and Miley?
Well, I also get some state benefits, and with the state benefits, yes.
Okay. Do you have a car currently, a vehicle?
I do not as of yesterday.
Okay. What happened yesterday?
It went kaput on me. It broke down, and I spoke with the dealership, and they went ahead and came and picked up the vehicle, and we're working on getting and locating another vehicle since I did sign a contract.
Okay. So were you doing a buy here, pay here kind of thing with the vehicle? Is that what?
No, it was a finance company through Caprock Credit.
Okay. So they're what? They're giving you credit for that vehicle to help you get another vehicle, or what's the situation there?
Well, the vehicle that I purchased, I had mentioned when I purchased the vehicle about some maintenance lights and tire lights that had been on originally when I purchased the vehicle. And I had mentioned it to the dealership and to the Caprock Credit, and they were supposed to remedy those things, and they never did. And that's ultimately what ended up happening with the vehicle. It ended up being some tire issues and then the suspension and stuff of the vehicle.
Okay. So does the dealership owe you another vehicle, or you're trying to buy another vehicle, or how does that work?
They're attempting to make the right wrong by helping me locate another vehicle. They said they couldn't make any promises, of course, but they're helping me locating if there's any other vehicles in the price range, kind of just helping me with the financing and stuff and making sure that I can get back into another vehicle.
Okay. So do you still owe any money on the old vehicle or no?
I still owe. And I believe, I can't exactly remember how they explained it, but I do believe I would essentially use the money that I paid onto the current vehicle that I had on the new vehicle, and we would just switch out the vehicles. So I'm thinking they would just kind of substitute the vehicle for the other, and I would just pick up where I left off.
Okay. And how much is that car payment a month?
It's about $450.
Okay. So if you're making $150 a week, that's $600 a month, and you're paying $450 a month on your car.
Yes, I am. Before I was working, and I'm still contracted actually with Live Ops, which is a home-based work from home platform online, where we work for different companies. That's ultimately the job that I would go back to as soon as I got back into a stable home where I could have my office environment. Not being able to have my office environment had basically forced me to have to leave that and not be able to do those contracts. And at that job, I would actually make very good money.
What kind of money can you make with that job?
Anywhere from $2,500 to about $4,000 a month, which is what I was doing before we got evicted.
Okay, but to get back to that work, you have to have a different living arrangement.
Correct. I would have to have an office space set up where I'd have to have dual monitors and very, very, very high speed internet, which I did have whenever I was residing at Upton.
Okay. Do you have that in the trailer right now?
No, I don't. I do have Wi-Fi, but it's not the kind of Wi-Fi I need to be able to work from there.
If you move into the friend's house that you were potentially talking about, the older couple, would you have the ability to do that work from there?
Yes, they actually have a whole room that is an office and designated for office and work and stuff.
Okay, so that sounds like a very good living arrangement. What is preventing you from doing that right now?
I just feel more comfortable where I'm at, because I do get my privacy, my solitude, the ability to meditate and, do the things that I need to do to make sure my mental health is okay, and just being able to focus on just what I need to focus on for what's me and Miley right now, just trying to save money. If I were to go to the other house, our arrangement would be, a little more contribution, of course, and a little more responsibility, which I'm okay with, but I figured this would be a better option to be able to save more money.
Okay. Now you heard Miley say that she does not feel safe going back with you right now. How does that strike you?
She's a smart girl. She knows that Mom would definitely want to make sure she's settled in and got everything that Miley needs before she did come, whether we stayed with Ivana or in our own residence. And so she knows that Mama would definitely make sure that everything was there that she needed, and her bedding, everything that she would need to be able to come home.
Do you feel like, I'm sorry, do you feel like if the judge were to let Miley go home with you today, do you feel like you're in a position to take her and care for her and provide for her?
Not at this juncture, not exactly at this time, no. Maybe in a week or so, yes, because I would be able to have the vehicle to make sure she would get back to Fortune school and stuff. But I also just want to make sure that everything's done correctly. I don't want Miley to doubt. I want her to be able to see her counselor and stuff, and make sure she's comfortable with everything. And I just want my baby girl to feel comfortable to come home. And I want her to have all her things, her favorite things before she did, so she could be home.
Are you asking the judge to dismiss this CPS case and send Miley back with you?
I am.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Wiggins?
Ms. Castro, you were present at the ex parte hearing on October 16th of 2023. Is that correct? Was that a yes? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. And did you hear the judge order you to go drug screen?
I did.
And you did not go drug screen. Is that correct?
No. I was.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Dockery, do you have any questions for Ms. Castro?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Ingram?
No questions.
Ms. Castro, you didn't finish, well, you weren't allowed to, but why did you not drug test when the court ordered you to drug test?
After the hearing, I was pretty emotional and I was having a hard time. I did suffer a couple of anxiety attacks that day, and I did not sleep very good. I tossed and turned, and I was pretty tired when I got up, and I had every intention to go, and I just so happened to sit down and I fell asleep and I missed it. I tried to get there, but
How'd you try to get there?
I had my alarm set, everything, and
Well,
I just-
all right, you fell asleep. Excuse me. You fell asleep. So when you woke up, why didn't you go?
it was about 5:30 when I woke up.
Were you awake at 8 o'clock the next morning?
No.
Well, you've heard Mr. Hill asked you a lot of questions about Miley coming home. Do you understand that Miley's not coming home until you drug screen, and we know what's going on in your life?
Yes. I did express to the CPS workers that I was concerned about the hair follicle, because I was concerned I wasn't going to have enough hair because I am wearing a wig. I suffer from polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that tends to cause a lot of hair loss. And especially if I'm in stressful times, my hair does fall out and it's really patchy, and I don't have much hair right now. I'm almost bald.
Are you in your trailer right now?
No, I'm sitting in a vehicle where I can have the charger plugged in because I am out of town.
Where are you at right now?
In Claude working.
In where? I'm sorry.
Claude cleaning homes.
Are you living in Claude? Is that where this trailer is?
No, I'm just here. We clean houses in Claude, in Canyon, and Hereford.
Okay, when are you going to be back in Amarillo?
I should be back later on this evening.
What time?
About 5:30 or 6.
Okay. Are you going to be in your trailer tomorrow morning?
Yes.
If I send CPS to come pick you up to drug screen in the morning, are you going to be at that trailer ready to go for your drug screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else have further questions for Ms. Castro?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Then, Mr. Hill, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I'll rest.
Thank you. Mr. Dockery, did you want to testify or do you have any witnesses? You're muted.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Ingram, any witnesses?
No witnesses.
All right. All right. Then, if everyone rests, Mr. Ingram, recommendation?
Yes, sir. I believe it to be in Miley's best interest that the department continues temporary managing and servitor or placement to continue as is.
Okay. Okay, then. Based on what I've heard today, I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator. I'll continue Miley's current placement. I'll order that Miley be evaluated by a licensed psychiatrist within 10 days from today. And I'll order that Miley begin counseling within 10 days from today. And that will be with Leanne Lefevre if she is willing and able to do so. If not, then I guess it would be the High Plains Children's Counselor. I'll order that Ms. Castro drug screen tomorrow morning. I'll order that she be at her trailer and ready to go. I assume that Care Express opens at 8. Let's say 9 o'clock to be sure they're open. Ms. Castro, I'll order that you be ready to go and that someone from CPS will pick you up at your trailer tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for your drug test. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next hearing will be the status hearing, and that will be on December 4th, 2023. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing.
And Judge, I don't know if my client knows where this trailer
No.
is.
I was about to answer that question. Ms. Castro, do you know how to contact, who are you dealing with St. Francis right now? You're muted.
No one has actually reached out to me yet. I did contact Amanda and ask her if she could possibly get some information for me on that. Who I need to contact.
All right, Ms. Jones, I know it's really not you, but that's your only contact now. Will you be sure that Ms. Jones, do you know how to contact Ms. Castro?
Yes, I have a working number for her.
Okay, whoever needs to get it with St. Francis, I know you're with FBSS, so whoever needs to contact her today and find out where this trailer is and be sure that someone picks her up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So,
Okay.
hate to put that on you, but you're the one that's here today. So,
It's
Okay.
Shay Grant.
I'm sorry?
Shay Grant will be the permanency specialist.
okay, all right. So Ms. Castro, you'll probably hear from Shay Grant sometime today. She's a nice woman, so I'm sure you'll enjoy talking to her. Miley, anything else you need to tell me today?
No, Your Honor.
Where are you? I heard your mom say you want to go to school in the Canyon School District. Where are you going to school right now? Are you happy there?
No.
No? Where would you want to go to school if you were in the Canyon School District?
Either go back to the actual Canyon High School or go to Midway.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if we can't make that happen. So, okay, Miley, you're always welcome to join us. You were very helpful today. I'm very impressed with you. So if you want to attend every hearing we have, you're welcome to. Just let someone from St. Francis know and we'll be sure that you make these hearings. Okay. We're here on a compliance hearing following an order to. All right. Then we will stand in recess on this case. Mr. Alvey is with us for the department. Ms. Grant is with us representing the children. Ms. Lucero is with us representing the mother. Ms. Salcido, I don't see her present. Ms. Lucero, were you expecting your client?
Your Honor, I did send her the link, so I'm unsure if she's going to be present today or not.
Okay, she is not in my waiting room. And then Mr. Michelson is with us representing the father, Mr. Benzor, who is with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Miss Denise General. And the mother is Miss Esmeralda Salcido.
That's correct.
And has she been working the services that she was ordered to work by this court?
She has. She's had a slow start, but she has been complying.
And are there any services that she has completed at this time?
No.
Okay. Is it your opinion that she needs to continue to be working on these services to benefit from them?
Yes.
The father is Mr. Adam Benzor. Has he also been working the services that he's been ordered to work?
Yes,
Has so he's complying with the court order.
absolutely.
Has he completed any of the services he was ordered to work?
Not at this time.
Would you again agree with me that it would be in the benefit and best interest of the child, the subject of the suit, if Mr. Benzor is continued on the services he's been ordered to work?
Yes,
The child or the children are currently placed with mother.
that's correct.
Are there any concerns that you have with any of the children at this time?
Not at this time.
So just to make sure we're all on the same page, it's in your opinion that the parents are working the services that they were ordered, but that they need to be continued to be ordered to work those services so we can provide the necessary services for these people.
That's correct. There's no new concerns.
Are there any additional services that you would like for the court to order at this time?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Gabriel. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Lucero?
I don't have any questions for Ms. Gambrill, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
Thank you, Mr. Michelson.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Grant.
Ms. Gambrell, in your summary report for today, you indicated that the Jennings Counseling had recommended that Mr. Benzor could be around the children so long as he was not with the mother. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Could you clarify the information there? Are we suggesting at this point that Mr. Benzor can begin being around his children without the supervision of the grandmother?
We are waiting. He had a court hearing for his criminal pending charges that he had. He had a court hearing yesterday. I am going to talk to him today to see what the outcome of that hearing was. And then we are going to decide whether we are going to lift that supervision.
Okay, so that is something that you're looking into, but we're not ready to do just yet.
Correct. I need to have that conversation with him to see how his court went yesterday.
Okay, and in regard to the mother, the report seemed to indicate that the mother struggles to comply with appointments and scheduling. Is that being resolved at this point?
She is. She had to move from one town to another, and she had to get a new job. So it was. She's having a slow start, but this last 2 weeks she seems like she's settling and she's attending appointments and complying.
Okay, and lastly, have the children settled appropriately into the new school in Dumas that the mothers put them in?
Elementary, yes. And we were waiting on shot records for Cosme to begin, Aaron, at Morningside, and she was finally able to get that, and he enrolled and he started this last week.
Great. And are the children engaging in any therapy services?
Matthew's going to engage in counseling through the school.
Okay, and Matthew is the oldest, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And he's the child that intervened in the event that led to the parents working services,
I'm
correct?
sorry, excuse me, I hate to interrupt. I'm gonna have to take this phone call real quick. I apologize.
Thank you, Judge.
I apologize for the interruption. Ms. Grant, you can continue.
Thank you, Judge. My last question, Ms. Gambrell, was, is Matthew the oldest who intervened in the event that led up to this order to participate? Is he receiving therapy services for any issues that may arise from that event?
He is going to begin therapy services. He was seeing the school counselor in Dalhart, but now since he's moved to Dumas, he was referred to the school counselor in Dumas.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Anyone have further questions for Ms. Gambrell?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. Mr. Albee, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor. I'll rest.
Thank you. Ms. Lucero, any witnesses?
No witnesses.
Mr. Michelson?
No witnesses.
Ms. Grant?
No witnesses, Judge.
All right, Ms. Grant, recommendations?
Your Honor, I would just recommend that the parents continue to participate in the services. They seem to be well on track after some adjustments, and the children are doing well. And I would just recommend that the children continue to receive therapy services as indicated by the school counselors at this point.
Okay. All right, then. Mr. Albee, did you want a compliance hearing?
Yes, Your Honor. 60 days. I'm not sure where we'll be at in 60, but
Okay, I've got January 12th.
that works. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, then I will order the parents to continue working the services that have been previously ordered. The children to work any services recommended by the counselors if they're seeing a counselor. And I will set a compliance hearing for January 12th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see what time we will actually
I
have
didn't
that.
know if that was something you wanted to relay to any other.
Is it set for tomorrow?
Tuesday, excuse me.
Tomorrow is Tuesday.
Tomorrow's Saturday, Your
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm confused. I'm already in Monday. I wish this was Monday and we were almost through because I've got a terrible Monday. So, okay. I appreciate you telling me that. We may just send out an email to all the lawyers that we deal with, letting them know. Do you know what time and where it is?
Everyone, I apologize in advance. 2 houses around me are getting new roofs today, and my dog is losing her mind over it. So if there is cacophony, I'm so sorry.
Problem. Mine do the same from time to time. They really don't like the trash truck on Tuesdays.
Just the hammering is driving me crazy.
Well, my thoughts are if that's the worst thing that happens today, it's been a pretty good day.
There you go.
True.
I'm at the office, but you may see my 2-year-old run in here in a minute because we didn't have a babysitter today. So we all have something going on.
We're here on a permanency hearing. Ms. Schulte's with us for the department. I believe Costa's with us. Ms. Kincaid is with us representing the children. Mr. Jackson's with us representing the mother, Ms. Barboza, who's incarcerated. And Ms. Smith is with us representing the father, Mr. Barboza. And I assume, Ms. Smith, he's with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. That accounts for everyone. I have Jennifer Campos
I
in the
would
waiting.
call Jennifer Campos.
Okay.
And did you file a court report in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are the children currently placed?
The boys are placed back with Fabian and the girls still reside with their Aunt Destiny.
When were the boys placed back?
On August 28th.
How are the boys doing back with their father?
The boys are doing really well. They have adjusted well. They seem to be a lot happier than when previous, placements and stuff like that. I can tell a big change in them from the beginning till now.
Are you continuing to monitor their placement with their father to continue that it's safe, ensure that it's safe and appropriate?
Yes, ma'am.
And how often are you visiting at this point?
I go every week.
Has Mr. Barboza completed all of his services?
Yes, ma'am. He does have his OSAR assessment scheduled for November 6th, and that was the last thing that he has to do.
Do we have any current substance abuse concerns about Mr. Barboza?
No, ma'am.
When was the last time, and to remind the court, what substance, if any, was our concern with him?
Alcohol.
Have we alcohol screened him during this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he been positive?
No, ma'am.
Have the children made any outcries, or have there been any evidence of alcohol use in the home?
No, ma'am.
Regarding the girls, where are they placed?
They are placed with their Aunt Destiny still.
Is that in Hereford?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that close to Dad? I mean, not that Hereford's that big, but
yes.
What is their contact and visitation with their father and brothers?
They are having unsupervised visits on the weekend. And we have just recently started them staying during the week overnight to try and get everybody used to everybody being back in the home. The girls, I believe, stayed on Monday night, I think Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember which day it was. But the girls were kind of worried about who was picking them up and who was taking them to school. I do know that his mom has been helping with the boys, taking them to and from school. So I think the girls had some worries there. I was informed that Alize was late and that Azalee was dropped off early at school by dad. And so they were kind of worried. And I know that there's some adjustment, we're trying to figure everything out. So I'm not for sure. That's just what I was informed with.
Is it just a matter of transportation coordinating with his work schedule? Is he supposed to be driving? Where is this coming from?
That came from Aunt that told me that. I do know that he has to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, unless his schedule has changed recently. But I do know that he does work from 8 to 5. And so his mom has been helping him with the boys.
To be clear, does he have a driver's license, and is he capable of?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. And it sounds like there is a lot of family support in town.
Yes, ma'am.
At this point, is the reason the girls have not been returned full-time a preference on their part?
Yes, ma'am. They had some anxiety about going back home. Alize, for the most part, she was kind of worried about having to parent again. And so I don't think that that's been the case. So far, I haven't heard anything about that, but that was one of her concerns. And also, she's the oldest and she probably has seen more. And so she was just kind of had a lot of anxiety about that. And Azalee has some anxiety. I think she's more following along with sister.
Are they still in counseling?
Azalee she is seeing Ruth Sullivan. Alize, she kind of goes when she feels like it. So she hasn't gone in the past. Ruth reached out to me this morning and said that she did see Alize last week. But that was it.
Is there anything, I guess, going through the other details of the children, are they all doing well in school?
Yes. Rick has had some behaviors, but he has recently been tested he's done the intake for being tested for ADHD, as well as Azalee. Azalee hasn't had any problems, but it's mainly Rick. But they're both being tested for ADHD. And so we're hoping that maybe that will help him out.
Do we have any medical concerns with any of the children?
No, ma'am.
Are any of them taking any medications?
Alize is taking sertraline 50 milligrams, and it's for anxiety and depression.
Is that being reviewed regularly by her doctor?
Yes, ma'am. She goes every 3 months.
And does that appear to be helping her?
Yes, she says it does. And I believe it does as well.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to know about any of the children or father's progress in services or towards reunification?
No, ma'am.
Have you had, I know she remains incarcerated, have you had any contact or communication with or from Ms. Barboza?
I do. I talk to her every month. She'll call me or she'll text me. So that's how we communicate.
Do you know if there are any services or programs she's working on while she's in custody?
I do know that she has to start the program that she is or the reason for incarceration before she can start any like parenting classes or anything like that.
Is she doing some type of like substance program?
Yes, ma'am. Right. I can't think of the name, but yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this point, are you asking that the court approve the current placements of the children and any move that the girls may make permanently home to their father's home?
Yes, ma'am.
And at this point, continue the department as temporary managing conservator to continue monitoring that placement.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
All right. So, Ms. Campos, basically, we're just with the girls, we're just going slow to be sure that this will, they'll be ready to go home and stay home.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, you had talked about the weekend visitation.
Mhm.
When does that start and stop?
It was on Saturday to Sunday. I know he has picked them up on Fridays and they've stayed Friday, Saturday, and sometimes they stay Sunday, Sunday night. I know that when they were out of school, that's what they did, but it's the weekend, Friday and Saturday, and they can go home on Sunday or Monday.
Okay. So, I mean, the way that you explain that, it sounds like to me, like if the girls are over there for the weekend and they decide they kind of want to cut it short, then Mr. Barboza, does he abide by that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then when did the weekday visitation begin?
It actually just started this week.
Did that go okay?
As far as I know, it went okay. The girls, I mean, I haven't spoken to the girls, but Dad said that it went okay. Other than the whole school situation.
Okay. All right. And so is it kind of, are you all just trying to inch these girls back into the home life little by little, as quick as you can? Is that kind of the goal?
Yes, sir. And to kind of get Dad used to having 4 kids in the home again.
Okay. And so far that's going well. Would that be a fair statement?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Judge. And the visitation with the girls, that's taking place every weekend, is that right?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And the counseling with Ms. Sullivan, has my client participated in that?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been satisfied with his participation?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that Fabian wants all of his kids to be home? He's just respecting the girls' wishes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, is it possible that Azalee was dropped off early because she has tutorials?
Possibly. I was not aware of that, but yes, ma'am. Possibly, yes.
Okay. So that's possibly an explanation for why she was dropped off early?
Yes.
Okay. Now, has Fabian expressed to you that the girls have told him that they'd like to come home?
He has expressed to me that the girls would like to come home. I did ask him if I could hear it from them first, because
that's a recent development, right? In the past week or so?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you be following up with them to explore that?
Yes, ma'am. Of course.
Have the boys been dropped off at school timely?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of any time that they haven't been picked up timely?
No, ma'am.
And they've been with him for the majority of the school year, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. For the past 2 months.
Pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Kincaid.
Thank you, Your Honor. The children are up to date on their medical and dental, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the prescription medications you've already testified to, there aren't any others, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you've previously testified that maybe the girls are interested in returning home, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But that's information that we just recently have uncovered, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
And so do you still think it would be in the children's best interest for the department to remain temporary managing conservator so that these girls can continue that transition? And if they get uncomfortable, they can go back to their aunt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass witness.
All right. Anyone have further questions for Ms. Campos?
No, sir.
Okay, then Ms. Schulte, any other witnesses?
No, Judge.
All right, Mr. Jackson, any witnesses?
No witnesses.
Ms. Smith?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Kincaid?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, then Ms. Kincaid, recommendations?
I recommend that the department remain temporary managing conservator. I think the girls are making a good transition home, but they feel safe with their aunt, and I feel like it's good to have that backstop for them if they feel like they need to return to her and regroup.
Okay, all right, thank you. And Ms. Olivas, does Costa have anything to add?
I just recommend for them to keep going to therapy.
Okay, all right. Okay, then I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue the current placement, order the children continue in their therapy if they are attending therapy. And I will set a final in this case for December 12th, 2023. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket to see exactly what time that hearing will take place. Mr. Barboza, I appreciate the fact that you are trying to do what is best for your girls, especially. Court appreciates that, and I really appreciate how you're going slowly so that we can make this a final transition back to you. So kudos for that. So.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I believe this was the only hearing we had with Deaf Smith County. So we will stand in recess. And I got ahead of myself in the last hearing, told everybody have a good week. I was looking at my Monday docket, which is terrible. And I told everybody I'm really not crazy. I do know now that it's Friday. So everybody have a good weekend. So
Hey,
Thank you,
Judge,
Your Honor.
Judge,
Judge.
I was needing to visit with Miss Kim K. Could you possibly put us in a breakout room, please?
Well, of course. I thought we were going to get by with no breakout rooms today, Mr.
Well,
Jack.
I did my best, Judge.
You did not disappoint me. Okay, everybody's free to go. And Mr. Jackson, I'll leave this Zoom link open. Y'all talk as long as you need to.